Hi, fifth graders. Today is day 10, and we are going to be talking about theme more closely. When we take a look at theme, we need to dive deeper into a literary text, hence the iceberg up above, but we'll talk about that in a second. Definition of theme. Theme is a universal idea, message, or lesson explored throughout a work of literature. The word universal is really important. The meaning of universal is that it can be applied to anyone, anywhere. So, for example, a lesson that we learn in a story could be applied to me, could be applied to you, to a kid in California, to a girl in France, or an old man in Nepal. That's the meaning of universal. The lessons have to be applicable to anyone, anywhere. Notice the iceberg. So let's think about this iceberg mentality now. Iceberg mentality says that you have to look below the surface. And that's what you have to do in a story. In order to understand the theme of a story, you have to look below the surface, meaning that you have to think about the things that aren't so obvious. You have to make inferences, and you really have to analyze relationships that exist between characters and events and between characters themselves. So let's take a look and see how this iceberg is kind of like a story. At the top, we have the plot. Plot is very basic. We can easily tell the beginning, middle, and end of the story. We can see the climax, the rising actions, and then the falling actions. It's all given to us. Next thing that we have right above the surface is story elements. As we saw from the last lesson, story elements are very literal. I can talk about the characters. I can identify the setting very easily. I don't have an issue coming up with details to support my story elements. Theme is more challenging. When we talk about theme, we have to dive deeper. So there are some questions that I'm going to put underneath the water that are going to help guide our thoughts about theme. One thing that we can think about for theme is, what does the main character have to do to resolve the conflict? Usually a main character faces a challenge. So what actions did they take in order to solve that conflict or to resolve that problem? Another question, what can I learn from the actions or words of the main character? After I've done my character analysis, can I learn a lesson based on what they did? That also can be a theme. This question is important for today's story. How do the primary and secondary characters connect? Secondary characters are there for a reason. They affect the main character somehow, and the effect that they have is important. That is true for Two Dreamers, and that's actually the question we're going to look at when we take a look at the story Two Dreamers. Finally, did the main character learn a lesson? Can I apply that lesson that they learned to my life? And that would be a good theme as well. Now let's see how it's going to apply to Two Dreamers. Our story for this week was Two Dreamers, and for this particular story, I wanted you to explore a more complex theme, so I provided you with a theme. The theme that we're going to be exploring is relationships between people are based on their shared dreams. So the first word is relationships. Um, in this story, there's two people who have a very strong relationship, and that is Hector and Grandpa. So when we're thinking about this theme, we want to be thinking about Hector and Grandpa. So Hector and Grandpa have a relationship based on a shared dream. So we need to try to figure out what that dream is. The obvious answer is that the dream is the house. However, you can't always take the obvious. And in this case, you cannot say that that shared dream is a house. So let's analyze the last part of the story and try to see what their shared dream was. I want my money. What money? You know what I mean. I'm going to tell Grandma. At this point, Hector and Grandpa are talking. What are they talking about? They're talking about money. So if you remember from the story, Grandpa was paying Hector for his help in getting the house. Son, I was just kidding. The last thing he wanted was his wife nagging him over dinner. He dug into his coin purse and brought out $8. He brought out 8 quarters. This is only $2, Hector complained. Why is he complaining? The fact that Hector is complaining about the amount of money tells me that Hector wanted more money. Is that similar to Grandpa? So think about their relationship. How are they connected? Yes, but you get the rest when I buy the pink house. You wait, son. You'll be a rich man one of these days. One day it will all be yours. Why does Grandpa want the house? Is it similar to Hector's wants? Hector didn't say anything. He was glad to have the money, and even gladder that his grandmother didn't scold them. After setting the sprinkler on the lawn, the two hard-working men went in for dinner. So think, relationships between people are based on their shared dreams. Their shared dream is not to get a house. What is their shared dream? Your task today is to defend that theme. So in your packet, you have this graphic organizer. This is the graphic organizer that you need to send me. See the camera above? This is what you need to send me for today's work. So you need to prove this theme with evidence from two dreamers and then an explanation about how your evidence supports that claim or that theme. So make sure that you're explaining really thoroughly and showing that it supports the theme. Relationships between people are based on their shared dreams. Okay, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing your work. Bye.